There we go. We are cruising. Cool. So, got some people joining up already from my school group. I am live streaming to my school community and on YouTube. So, diving into this one, I'll just give a quick rundown. This is an automation build that I started a little while ago. It is part of a greater automation that is creating AI videos. So I took that framework I had built for a content style, creating AI story videos with captions and AI voice narration, and I'm just ripping up that automation and turning it into a different content style AI video automation. So we're already a good way through this, but really I'm just going about my work day and working on this thing. Figured I would just record myself doing it. Cool. So looks like we're still running through let's see. There we go. Oh, Lean Green Health. Hello. Nice to have you back. Looks like we're running through the first few chains here, and we got some new stuff from Make and Fowl.ai. So I'm using these HTTP modules. Whoops. Let me set this up over here. Using these HTTP modules to make a request to the Fowl.ai API, but look what we just got in Make. Not exactly sure when this popped in. Let's see if, let me refresh this. But we now have a brand new module in make.com called fowl.ai. So this is going to replace the HTTP modules. Essentially, you can do anything. All these requests, all these actions, you can do all this stuff with the HTTP module. Make just creates these modules with these other platforms so that it makes it a lot easier. You can just paste in inputs instead of having to go find all that stuff in the documents. So that's something we could do here. I could replace these. HTTP modules. For a start, but since this stuff is kind of working, I'll just leave it for now. We can move on through, get some actual data moving down. So I think last week we were working on this test, pushing data through. So this Airtable base and this Make blueprint will be available on my school community. Fix my camera here. Everything that I build and everything that I demo, I just put up there for free download. Once you join my community, you can download all this stuff. So figured I'd build this one out with you guys together, talk through it. You can watch me fumble, stumble, figure this stuff out. And if nothing else, you can see somebody with lots of experience in this stuff just sort of figure it out as you go. I think that's inspiring to just watch someone sort of figure stuff out and realize, like, holy, this stuff is hard. All right. So I think we're creating image prompts. Let's go ahead and test this stuff. So I got this one rerouted. I'm going to disable this master router. Didn't mean to unlink it. Just want to disable the route. Let's rename this one. Main route. By the way, we've been getting into some good discussions on the new emerging stuff, right? Shiny object syndrome is a real thing, especially with all this new stuff coming out. People are getting into N8N, people are getting into DeepSeek instead of, OpenAI, all this stuff. And it's just something to be aware of, shiny object syndrome, not jumping to new things just because they're new. And so using Make, it's not going to go away. It's only going to get better. N8N is going to come in, it's going to get better. And, all this stuff has been around for a long time. It's just now sort of easier, more accessible. There's more integrations. It's getting into the hands of more people. So that's what my main goal here is. I want to get this stuff into as many hands as possible. So wrapping my mind around what I'm doing, just kind of brainstorming this route. So we've got a new record here. I think I'll just start fresh on a new record in my base in the video project tab. We'll say prompt generation test. Can set some video settings here. I have my generic theme writer. That's right. So I'm creating prompt writers here. I created this generic theme prompt writer. All these prompts I create are also, if not available in my school community, will be available in my school community. You can just copy and paste this into ChatGPT and just use it in straight into ChatGPT or any other large language model. All right, so we got the generic theme prompt writer. I'll choose a style, choose my photograph style, and my generic prompt writer is going to take a theme and craft an image prompt that's more detailed to actually generate the images we need for each of our scenes. So I have this one here, giant figures in history. I don't know what's going to come out, but we'll use that theme. I'll give more manual control to this one and I'll hit start. So that is going to run down this only chain connected right here to generate the scenes. Let's see, everything's connected up. So the stories table, we need to switch this up. We're in the wrong base here. So let's create a connection. This is my niche AI video generator, I guess. These names are getting longer and longer. By the way, just to touch on N8N, we're building this one in Make, so I want to focus on Make today, but to touch on N8N one last time, I am reconstructing all of my automations I already have in Make in N8N just to build them, to see if I can, to see if there's any issues, to see how things translate. So you can stay tuned for all of that. Where's my base? I got too many bases. There it is. Oh, we had Ka in here for a second. He pops in for like half a second every time we have a call. He'll watch the video back and be like, oh. All right, so we got our new connection. Let's connect up that base. Automated faceless niche AI video generator. That is, all these names are tongue twisters. I gotta simplify my names. So we don't have the stories table anymore. This is for the previous base. So the new table is our video project table. This one here. And same operation, grab the record ID, that's fine. So now we need to create image prompts. Let's run through this. I've got a new connection in OpenAI. create a separate connection. So I'm going to jump over there real quick. Whoops. Whoops. Hey. Listening to myself speak. All right, so I want to make sure I got the right connection here in OpenAI. So yeah, I've been switching stuff around. I make so many videos with temporary API keys, and then I just forget which ones are temporary, and I go back and delete all my API keys just to make sure and have to recreate new ones. Got all my stuff hanging out all over the place. So I'm creating a new, temporary API key. So pop this down over here. All right. So what do we got? You're an expert at following instructions to make a JSON object. Do we need a JSON object? I don't think we do. We just need a prompt. Before we were creating, in the other automation, we're creating a JSON object containing the AI voiceover scripts and the image prompts. I think we just need the image prompts here. So let's just create text, get rid of that JSON response format. So technically we can get rid of, this was the user role, this was the assistant role. So JSON instructions, we don't need to create a JSON, we just need to use the prompt presets. So the prompt presets prompt presets are here. So we're going to read these prompt presets in the assistant, but we also need to read the prompt. We need to read the input image prompt here. So we need to add this to those instructions. So let's see what we're getting. Back in make. So we need to get the prompt preset down here, and we need to get, so we can add this back in, number 1. Number 2, I just put this stuff in quotes because I add that into my prompts, read the text in quotes. I tell my assistant prompt instructions, read the text in quotes, right? So we're going to get our input image prompt here, text. Right, that's what we're getting over here. Input image prompt here, we're going to get that. For our image prompt, we also need, so let's actually move this up to the user input. So we're going to put in the, yeah, let's move this to the user input, and let's just add for the assistant, let's just add the assistant instructions, keep it simple. So the assistant instructions is going to be my prompt writers. You'd be surprised, I actually talk out loud to myself like this when I'm working. Even when I'm not live streaming, I talk out loud just to organize my brain with all this stuff. It's crazy how much you gotta flow with it. So my prompt writer, this is going to be my assistant instructions. I have it labeled nice and neat in Airtable already, so that's handy. Assistant instructions, but we probably have to refresh this. So let's take a look. We got 2 input areas. This one is the old one that is disconnected now. The story writer is disconnected. Choose writer is disconnected. So let's go ahead and refresh this module. I need to fake a record run. So let's go do that. Got to grab this record ID. So I put a view down here with all data. That way I don't have to hide and show fields to find information I need. So I've got a nice and tidy view with just the information I need. And I got an all data view with all of my fields and record information so I can grab stuff I need. Grab that record ID, run this module, paste that. It should refresh the Airtable module, so we should be getting accurate mappings, accurate schema in here for mapping. So I'm just going to hit OK, come back. This is a habit too, using this little arrow. No matter what I do, I can't not use the arrow now from using it in my videos. So assistant instructions, message 2, we're taking on the role of the assistant. This should be refreshed, so we should have our instructions. What are we missing? Oh, I think it's gonna be, yeah, I think we have to update something else here, but whoops, there's our prompt writer instructions. It's in the array. Got to drop that down, grab the actual text. So now we've got our assistant in there. So for the user input, we're going to add the prompt preset. We're going to add the prompt, image prompt. Then say, read these 2 inputs and craft an image prompt based on the instructions. Something like that. Let's do this a little more neatly. Read, oh my gosh, my hotkeys. I think that should read without a comma there. So a little more neatly, read the two. Read the inputs in quotes above and craft the image prompt based on instructions below. Cool. Now we should probably enter in here some system instructions, which I have. System automation, system instructions. Do not use AI sounding words. Write as if a human is speaking. Do not use hashtags. Do not use emojis. Let's say when we'll use my proper terms that I used before. Crafting, is that what I used before? Fanciful. Do not use whimsical language in the prompt. The prompt you output oh. The prompt you output will be copied into an image generation tool. To the resulting image should be related to the inputs you were given. The prompt you output will be copied into an image generation tool like Flux, just so we don't try and generate anything in DALL-E. And do not use the words and phrases in this list. I'm not sure if I need to use my prohibited language list here. But I could create a new prohibited language list and say, don't talk like this. We'll leave that for another thing. And just use this list anyway. So let's add the system instructions to our OpenAI module here. So we've got the user input, the assistant input, add a message. We'll add the system input, and we should not need to refresh the Airtable module. Yeah, we have the system instructions here. System instructions, comma, prohibited language list. Let's make sure that language list is connected up correctly. It doesn't look like it is from the visual here. So I'll just delete that out for now. Let's see if we got that connected up. It should be the phrase from prohibited language list. So Maybe it's fine. Maybe it's fine. Phrase from prohibited language list from system. No, that's incorrect. That's the old one. So let's refresh it again, just to be sure. This is the oops. Oh, no, that's not. That's correct. There it is. Looking for the name here. That's correct. From system. It's in the wrong table. Just curious why we're not seeing that entire list pop up here. I'm going to do a quick test. Let's add a router, split that route, disable this route, update a record in Airtable. Oh, I got my mic on the wrong side of my body today. Keep hitting it. Sorry about that. Update a record. What did I call this? Niche AI video generator. Niche AI video generator. Update permissions. There's basically two permissions, the get and the update. So we set our get permissions. We have to set our update permissions, read and write. That's the one, grant access. Choose the base, choose the table. I'm going to say video project, record ID. You can choose this record ID or this record ID down here. It's going to be the same. Should be the same. So we got the story field left over from the previous automation. So I'm going to input the prohibited language list into this story just to see if we're actually getting the correct system instructions. So in here, I'm going to just input the system instructions. Maybe the correct punctuation is a colon. And the prohibited language list. So all this is going to do is send the prohibited language list to the story field when we run this. And we are running this, generate scenes. We are running this with the start button. We are rerouted for testing. Everything's disabled. Cool. It is not toggled on, so I'll hit run once. And we'll trigger it with start. So all this should do is get our system instructions in here. All right. Cool. So, oh yeah, I have the colon there already in the prompt. So we're not getting our full list for some reason. Which means something is not connected properly. And it looks like we're not connected to our story. There it is. So all this stuff I got to rename. Obviously, we don't have stories anymore. We got projects. I think I can rename this here right now. Video projects. Do not allow multiple records. You look is your screen high? You look up all the time. I misread that. I have dyslexia. Pippo, what's up? Screen high. I actually got a giant screen. I've got a huge screen. I've got a second screen over here, and I've got a third screen down here to monitor my other screens. I've actually got another screen over here that I connect to sometimes, but it's a huge screen. It's a TV. I just found myself hunching over, even when I had a nice screen. I've got my nice screen over here. I found myself hunching over on my computer. So with this TV, it forces me to lean back and good posture. Anything helps, right? Good posture. All right, so where are we at? We're connecting this back up. We're connecting this back up in the video project over here. And if we look at all data and fields, we should see something missing. Our instructions are not connected, but they show they're connected here. So something is off. Pretty sure we did that automation last time. If I create a new record, we should automatically, from our Airtable automation here, we should automatically get our system instructions in there, so don't know why. There it is. Don't know why we're not seeing that pop up here. Could be that because we renamed it, yeah, okay. So this is the wrong field. This is the field we're looking for. So we need to make sure that is the proper connection. So we've got our prompt generation test connected, prompt generation test. So this was the old stories table. Pretty sure we can just delete this without breaking anything. Sure. Create a SaaS for this automation. That is being done at such a rapid pace. I see a new SaaS app coming out probably at least once a week, if not every day. I'm seeing a new app come out. So, how do we balance using these apps coming out, cost, all this stuff? Do we build it ourselves? Do we use these new apps? This is a common subject that I get into a lot with this automation stuff. It's like I get a lot of comments saying, "Oh, well, there's an app for that." I'm like, "Great, go use the app if that's your workflow." But essentially, what we're building here is something you can customize. Obviously, this automation has a function, or will have a function when it's done, but you'll have gained the skill to build something else, to build something cooler, right? I'm teaching you how to build this stuff, not necessarily to have an app at the end of it, but to be able to make something new or customize your app, so to speak. So to create a SaaS tool, I have a bunch of automations that are ready to go, but there's so many people doing that. I find more value in teaching people how to do that, if that makes sense as an answer to your question. Good question. That's a great question. I'm stumped on this, though. I'm not sure why this isn't coming through. Let's run it one more time and see what we get again in our test here. So we should be getting the entire prohibited language list added here, and we're not. So let's run it again. Selling shovels in a gold rush. I like that. Hopefully. It's just new. All this stuff is so new, and it's exciting, and nobody knows nobody knows what's going on, and people are on YouTube saying that they know what's going on, but they don't know what's going on. I'm trying to be the guy that says, yeah, nobody knows what's going on. Let's just do it together. I mastered this stuff pretty quick though. That's the level it takes. I jumped into Airtable and mastered that within a few weeks. I jumped into Make and mastered this in a few weeks. And, getting into all these new tools, N8N, I'm mastering pretty quickly. I've spent a couple days on that and feel like I've mastered N8N, but I'm sure there's a few things I can get into. So it's just more than the shovel is I'm teaching people how to dig. Stumped though, stumped. Let's run it. I'm trying to brainstorm, but let's just run it and see what happens. Yeah, so we're missing something. It's got to be in the connection here. It's got to be this. This has to be improperly updating this link right here. So let's refresh our Airtable module. Run this module only. Grab the record ID. Prompt generation test. Copy that record ID, pop that in there. Should refresh it. We've already done that, so not sure with this one. Still not the... Okay, so it's this connection here. We're not connecting to... Yeah, let's get rid of these broken fields. We don't need JSON maker unless, well, getting ahead of myself. We don't need JSON bot for now, so we'll just get rid of that. Connected to the correct Airtable database, yes. I created a new connection just because I lost myself. I wanted to make sure. So that happens all the time too. Come back to these builds, these huge builds. I try and remember what's going on, but I'm doing so many things. I've got so many projects going on that I'm not even, showing online, that I don't even try to remember. I don't even try to write it down. I don't even try and keep track. I just jump in and I have the capacity to get on board with myself real quick. But that is something I did. I created a new connection here, so we're connected to the correct base. We're getting stuff to come through. It's just not the stuff we need, so it is connected. So what we need to do is find out what's wrong with this connection. These are coming through into the video project table here. However, let's add that lookup field. I think we're connecting... So the system instructions lookup field, we want to also check the prohibited language list linked record here. So this is the linked record field. This is the actual text field. And so we want the text field, which I thought we were connecting, but it's not giving us all of that text. I'm digging through it too. It's not even necessary for this right now. I'm just trying to figure out why it's not working, but I can move on and come back to it later if this next test doesn't work. So now we have this in our video project. We need to update the record, update the Airtable module again with that new field in it. So we'll run this only. Run it with that actual record. Let's hit cancel on this and see. I doubt this will work either, but just curious. So it could be that, yeah, I don't know. So we're going to try a couple things. I'm going to try and do the entire array first. And now we have this other field in here also. So I'm going to add the entire array, which could simply be the issue because I'm an idiot and not thinking clearly. Unsave changes, that is fine. Let's just unlink that for now. And we want to test this one again, delete that. Run it. Now, I'm passing the entire array of language list, and that is working. So I just was doing a dumb move. Hey, nice to see you here. Concept Tropic on YouTube. You could join the chat in the school group too if you want to join the Telegram call. Either one. But you're here anyway, so glad to have you here. Yeah, I recognize you, Collins. How's it going? I was thinking about you after our chat yesterday. This is a new build, but it's based off that one you're putting together and setting up. This is going to create new style of content. This is for everyone jumping on the stream as well. This automation creates AI videos using AI video generation tools like Kling and Minimax. We're going to be adding these API calls into our automation chain here. So we're going to be creating these AI videos. Right now, I'm essentially taking my other automation and ripping it apart and creating this new build. So just brainstorming, figuring it out. I'm just going about my workday and letting you guys watch my brain mush here. Any other service is better than JSON to video? I've tried so many, and they all perform about the same. JSON to video is now kind of getting a bunch of new features, kind of pulling away. I don't use the other features, but from my experimenting thus far, it's kind of the best one. It's the easiest one. It's got pay as you go, which I like. I'm not an AI video content creator, so if the pay as you go model might not be pleasing to some other people, but for me and automation in general, that's probably my favorite. I just call it a stitch tool. It does a little bit more than that, but video stitching tool. So this is working, and I'm dumb because we actually need all of those words in the array, not just the first entry. So we've got that working. We can reconnect this here. Actually, we can get rid of this whole reroute. $49 a month for JSON to video. It's pay as you go. They obviously have subscription models, but I just pay as I go. Let's see here. So we can restructure this slightly. We don't want, just put a space there, and we don't want the dropdown. We want the entire array. Cool. Could probably collapse the advanced settings since we're not creating a JSON object. And we can finally move on. So we don't need this guy unless... Now, see, we're just putting that straight through so we can get rid of this whole bit right here. We're just trying to output the prompts and create records here. The issue is that well, let's give it a test run. Again, getting ahead of myself. We have our voiceover field we don't need. We need our image. We could keep our image task ID or image ID or reference ID. Probably just get rid of that. This was for an old Midjourney build. We can get rid of that. Luma Labs was for an old build. Can get rid of that. Video prompt. We can tune this up. So let's jump into Airtable and tune up our generation table. Can get rid of this view and do that with an automation a different way. Get rid of this folder. All right, let's take a look at all data here. So stories. This is our connected field, but I think since we renamed it, I'll just confuse myself if I don't just delete all these and redo them. Delete the main field, you see what breaks, and then you can delete everything that's broken and add in the correct stuff. When in doubt, break it out. Okay, image task ID. Could save that for reference, but I usually just check the file API records anyway, so I'll get rid of that. Voiceover we don't need, that was for the previous build. Story name, we can just have this be a prompt ID, maybe. These primary fields, you can't do a lot with them. So let's change this to an auto number field, and we'll just, for whatever reason, keep track of how many prompts we've generated over time. AI image prompt. Images go here. Our generation actions are manual generation actions. Pop the video in here. We don't need audio, and we don't need audio plus video. While we're cleaning up, we can come into automations and get rid of the audio. We're going to add music, but these automations are for the caption voiceover. Merge audio video, don't need that. If you guys want to see which automation I'm actually ripping up here, I have the full step-by-step tutorial on how to build this previous automation that I'm destroying. It generates AI videos with a simple animated scene and a voiceover caption for each scene, so you can create story style storyteller AI videos. I've got the full step-by-step tutorial on YouTube for that. You can also check out my school community. I've got links for all of that stuff if you want to check it out. So this build is essentially going to do the same thing, but we're going to be able to use different AI video generation models like Kling, Minimax, Luma to generate short video clips, stitch those together, This is more for a content style of like shocking things or, weird monsters or, history, weird things in history style video uh, content niches. Let's see, combine video back from JSON. We need that. Combine all clips. We need that. Clip back. I think that's just the video clip back from JSON to video, which we don't need because we should be getting the all right. Yeah, so all this stuff should be updated once we run it through. Story name. Oh, I didn't actually save that. Prompt. All right, so we can get rid of the story field also, but I'll just use it as a testing field for now, just like we did. And we need to try and generate some images here. So the thing that's going to happen, I'm going to jump into file. We need to come up with a way to generate a number of scenes, and that might be going back and actually creating a JSON object again. I removed that functionality, creating a JSON object, or it might be as simple as creating a new or adding into the prompt, create this number of scenes. What am I looking for? Come on, there it is. This is my Flux. File.ai dashboard where I'm using Flux to generate images. Using the Flux realism model, I've got Flux Pro Ultra. Now what's great about Fal AI, you can pay as you go. Just throw a couple credits in here, pay as you go. Again, that's my preference. I'm not a major content creator. Why don't you use N8N instead of Make? Yeah, this is a great question. I talked about this a little bit earlier on in this stream, but it's just we're at that point where so many things are coming out, and I'm building everything in N8N as well. And if we in my school group, my school community, we talk about shiny object syndrome and how people are just gonna start saying this is better. No, this is better. It was same thing that was happening with all these language models. OpenAI is better. Anthropic is better. Which one's better? Which one's this? This one does this one does that, right? And so we're going to see that same thing start to happen. Make is going to start to specialize into something better than N8N does, and N8N is going to start to specialize into something better than Make does. And so right now, the real problem or the real issue is if you're working with this stuff, jumping around, and then therefore not learning anything. Oh, I want to learn Make. Oh, N8N came out. I should learn N8N. I'm doing that because that's my job is to learn all this stuff and teach people. But if you're a creator, or if you own a business and you're trying to run these tools, sticking with one is going to be more profitable. Now, why don't I use N8N? I do use N8N, and I'm making plenty of videos on N8N in the future. I've actually finished a ton of automations. I do so much stuff, so much work that I'm not even showing online. But I have a ton of automations I'll be making videos for, doing live streams on, implementing in my school community, implementing for myself and for my business. So it's just one of those things that's like Make does some things better. Some people prefer Make. N8N does some things better. Some people prefer N8N. But right now, people seem to be jumping on N8N. It's the new shiny object. So don't get caught up in shiny object syndrome, but do your best to learn everything. And if that includes switching to N8N, go for it. Good questions. I love these conversations. I'm still lost in my own brainstorm. Instead of testing this out, I need to just run this down and then think about it. I go to bed at night building automations in my head and then wake up in the morning and build them right away first thing with no errors. I just work out stuff in my head, but can't do that on a live stream. Got to build it, see what happens. So what we are doing here is running the generation image chain. We're running to-fal via this Flux API HTTP request. What's beautiful is Make just created a fal API module. So we're going to take a look at that. This can stay here. I think we have the action to generate story. This can stay here, but we don't need upscale image. And I'll rename this to generate image. Got to make sure right away, jump over into my Airtable automation, generate image, manual generate image. I'll rename this. Flip it on and change my variable right here that I just changed in Make. By the way, I am going to be building all of the automations I already have built in Make. I'm going to be building them in N8N just to learn new stuff with N8N. You know, I have a bunch of different workflows that are N8N specific that are just the hotness right now, but I'm going to be building everything that I already have built in Make in N8N for multiple reasons for myself, but mostly just because I want to learn new stuff. And as you do more stuff, errors happen that cause you to learn new things and try new things. And so just trying new stuff to learn new stuff is how I started my entire business here, teaching automation. So N8N is here, but Make isn't going anywhere, especially with the new grid coming out. All right, webhook. Let's double check this webhook just to make sure. I've got the correct webhook. I'll copy this one into my variables over here. And it was the wrong one, so that is good. And we can flip on this. I'll unlink this and switch it over to my testing route. Let's link up the Airtable modules. What did I call this? Niche AI video. There it is. Yeah, so anyone watching the stream, anyone that's seen any of my Make tutorials wanting to get into N8N, there's a bunch of creators out there doing it. All of them are great, but if you like what I'm doing, stay tuned for the N8N stuff because I'm doing that as well. I'm trying to be the guy, you know? I want to be the guy. All right, so this table, I'm thinking if we should do this differently in testing, but again, in my brain space, let's just try it, see if it works. Generation table. Let's switch these modules out for the new Flux module. Just clone these, keep them safe. Actually, I'll just drop it in right here. Keep saying Flux module. I'm using it as a Flux module, but it's the fal AI, brand new fal AI module in Make. So we want to generate an image from text. Let's create a connection. This is my first time doing this, by the way. Don't know what I'm doing connecting up this module. brand new. Oh, it's actually, I don't know when it came out, but one of the guys in my school group said it just came out, so I immediately checked it out in perfect timing for today. So let's jump in here, find my API key, create a new testing API key for this. Let's just say fal. Could be as simple as that, right? So we got a prompt field. That's neat. We can choose a model. All right, so this is probably the main issue or limitation with this module. We can't choose which we can choose, but we can't choose from the entire list of models to do this image from text operation. All we have available in the actual fal module here is this flux one. We can try it out, but so the webhook we want, okay, so we can set up a new webhook here too. I don't think I want to do that because I want to use this model here is the one I'm using, the Flux Realism. Definitely my favorite Flux model, even over the Flux Pro, Ultra, all of that. It doesn't produce the highest quality results, but for people, for faces, it is by far the best model to use. Not the highest quality, but I don't necessarily need that for what I do. So again, something to look into with models if you're a content creator, right? All of this stuff comes back to one of our previous questions in the chat was, am I trying to make a SaaS out of this? No, there are so many apps that do that. So many apps that are this hit a button, create a video, one button click, be a content creator, all this stuff. But it really comes down to not necessarily the content that's getting created with automation, but how can you automate your workflow to create content? So all of these big automations that I build, yeah, they create videos in a couple button clicks, but that's not necessarily what's great about them. It's you're creating something customizable and you're learning how to customize it following my YouTube tutorials. I'm not trying to be a content creator or, my titles are create a faceless YouTube channel with this AI automation, and essentially you could, but it's more about how do we learn AI, how do we learn automation, and how do we learn AI automation to be noticed as a content creator or noticed as in your business, creating AI automations. How do we start an AI automation agency? How do we do all this stuff? That's really my end goal, is not to create content, but to create creators, I guess. Ooh, getting deep now. So let's keep our HTTP module here, just because I want to use my Flux Realism, and you have the flexibility to paste in any modules you want from Flux, models you want from Flux. I think I closed out of my Flux page. Let's get back into Flux. I keep saying Flux. Oh, and I keep hitting my mic. With fal, I am using Flux, fal.ai. So these are all the models I'm using in fal, all these Flux models, and I got Kling, Minimax, Luma. So I'm sure that they're going to, this is my testing API key, by the way. I'm sure they're going to, update this module in Make and give it more pliability, but right now, not so much. So I got all these API keys floating around, and I always feel the need to point out that I go in and I delete all my API keys pretty regularly, just so you guys can't use my credits. Let's see. So what we're going to do, let's delete this. Let's delete this. This is great, by the way. I love that this module came out, but for me, not quite there yet. Just wanted to test it out. All right, so we're going to leave this the same. Got our sleep timer. This should be 20 seconds. That's just a random number I chose to, watching how fast Flux runs in FAL. That's just a number I threw out there. We could run a loop just like these here, but just waiting 20 seconds. The Flux realism model tends to be done in just a few seconds. So that's connected. I'm going to switch out this API key for my new one for testing. And this here, by the way, if you guys want to copy this, let's see if I can blow it up a little bit. No, that doesn't show on your. Oh, it does. It does. There we go. This right here is the inputs. These are the settings we need in the request content. You can copy this for the Flux Realism model. So we need all of these things, and we need, we can change some of the settings. I wanted to have the safety checker off, the PNG format. You can use JPEG, all of this stuff. Sync mode must be false. And then we can change our image size. We're going to do that dynamically. Here it's hard coded. Guidance scale, you can change all these settings, but you need all of these settings no matter what they are. And so if you want to copy this, take a screenshot. Let's see. Whoops. Let me just hide my face for a second. Take a screenshot of that if you want to use the Flux Realism model in fal.ai via the HTTP module in Make. Whew. Then copy this. That's what you're going to paste into the request content. Cool. So, by the way, just take a look at these settings too. You can take a screenshot if you need. Flux Realism URL, method post, first header, authorization. The value is your API key, but it requires the word key, space, then your API key. And I'll get my temporary key in here shortly, and then parse response is yes. This is for the first make a request. Then we can download from FAL API, fal.ai API. This key is no good. These settings here. Oh, chill out, mouse. And we don't need to request any content. Parse response is no. And we're getting the JSON string from the request just to get the URL. So we're parsing all of that JSON just to find the URL so we can find the image's URL here and input that into Airtable. This we don't need anymore. That's gone. I deleted this field. And some of these fields are updated. We don't have voiceover. We just haven't updated this Airtable module yet. We haven't run it yet. But I think this looks good. Cool. All right, I'm gonna drop my API key in here, my temporary API key, but I'm gonna do it off off stream so you don't start using all my credits live. Okay. We need API keys going in. Cool. So something you need to do with make is frequently save your scenario. I always forget that, and I've lost a lot of work many a time. So save your scenario. It's getting better, but save your scenario. Let's give this a test. Let's see. All right, let's give this test. It's not flipped on, so I'll just hit run once, come into Airtable, and we can manually generate. For now, I believe we don't have any way of creating different scenes in the automation yet. So let's just put in a prompt here. My favorite Flux realism prompt. That should be it to test this. Yeah. Let's just see what happens. Generate images. All right, so we're running through Flux. We can check the Flux logs. Pop this back up on screen. Flux realism requests, and we've got, looks like that came through just fine. Oh my gosh, sorry. So we should have that come through and that error in make. So that's saying we don't have oh, chill out, mouse. Don't have something. There's my previous API key. That could be the reason. Let me go switch out that API key. Data's coming through. I think it's just we're not getting that. I don't have it linked in here correctly. Images, URL. We'll try that. So let's run this module only. And we need this record ID in the generation table. It's probably actually, I think I might know what it is now. Let's just run this. Yeah. Haven't set up the connection. Obvious. Must be hitting that hour and 30-minute mark on the stream. AI niche, AI video generator. Choose the base. And we need our generation table. Record ID needs to be the record ID of this module. All right, that's correct. And the AI image, well, the image generation is going to be from the JSON images URL. Set generation actions, unmap this, we'll set it back to choose action. Cool, that should be fine. Let's run this again. Paste our record ID and invalid attachment. Let's see. We'll figure that one out. Invalid attachment for images. Oh, let's come in here. See if we can map it. No, it's already unmapped. Must be hitting the 1.5 hour mark on the stream. Images, this is the correct, let's make sure this is the correct field so we can run this without that setting, just to refresh this module without that input. By the way, anyone coming into the stream, I am building this AI automation for generating faceless AI videos using AI models like Flux to generate images, Kling for video, Minimax, all that good stuff via an API called fowl.ai. Basically, I'm just going about my workday, fumbling around, figuring this stuff out, and you guys can watch me do that. If anything, you can watch an experienced person like me stumble around and feel empowered if you ever run into any issues. This stuff is hard and you got to work through it. All right, so we're going to run this module by itself just to refresh this module and see if we can fix that. Clean out that cache. Cool, looks good. Everything is connected now. I wonder, I need to switch out that API key to generate another image, but I wonder if we skip this JSON. We needed it in the previous automation build. So we could probably, so what we're doing, what this JSON module is doing is parsing the JSON string, all the data that's coming from that. So all the data with the URL, the image information, all of that stuff is coming out from FAL. And we could see that sort of right here. We could take a look if you really want. We can see that right here in the data, all of that information. So we're parsing out that data and just getting the URL. But for whatever reason, it's not exactly working. So we could try an aggregator in some capacity. But let me switch all my API keys because I don't think I did that correctly. So that could be the problem in the first place. All right, switching out API keys. Don't think it's the keys because we got everything to come through, everything to generate, and we got the GET request. We're just not getting things back into Airtable correctly via the JSON module. But we can try another generation. Now. Test it. Manual generate images. Let's see what happens this time. Got the module connected correctly. "20-second delay." Waiting for that image to pop through. We can check my file requests. And that looks good. We got our new image. Everything is fine. And we should have it back in Airtable this time. And it is not. Oh, interesting. We're getting it back in the wrong field. That would be why. We need to add it to the images. Try and run that again. I think we will probably have a similar error. Yeah, let's just run the whole thing. Burning credits, burning credits. It's all right. It's only a few cents. I always like pay-as-you-go pay models, and with FAL, any of these models you're using, you know, I've only got a few credits in here and they last me a long time. But I'm not a video content creator, so it might not be the best route if you are. Still brainstorming something else we can do, but let's just test it. Run once. Let's get this out of here. Let's put my prompt back in there. Beautiful, whoa. And manual generate images. Coming through Flux. I'm gonna try and make it to 2 hours today. I set some time aside for the stream and then only make it about an hour and a half because my brain starts to hurt. I'm gonna try and go 2 hours. I'm gonna get longer and longer. See what we can do. All right, that one is stalled in FAL. There it is. Cool, and everything came through. Just a connection glitch. Running it through, burning credits, but we got it. Got it to come through here. So I actually have a FAL access tool that gives you access to the Flux models in FAL. It's a sort of a standalone tool, if you will, based on this right here, this operation right here. So just creating images in FAL or in Airtable via FAL with the Flux models. I have that automation built out, and it's been built out for a while, but I'm going to start recording that one probably today. I'll record that, how to build the Flux access tool in Airtable via fal.ai API. I'm going to build it. I have it built out in Make. I have it built out in N8N. So I'm going to start recording videos on both of those builds step by step, and some other interesting builds on how we can use FAL and Flux in Airtable. So stay tuned for that. That is starting those videos up today, but I've had those automations built out for a while. So that's essentially what we've done here in the first part of this greater automation. We have our video project being set up with these settings. We're getting some prompt inputs, and then we're generating images in Flux via FAL AI. Now, what we need to do is automatically create a number of scenes and have those images, have those scenes be created out automatically based on our video project settings. So we're generating images. Now we just need to get a way for those images to be created based on our inputs. And our two inputs are going to be our prompt, or I should say 3 inputs. We're going to choose a style of prompt writer, or choose a prompt writer. The only one I've built in here, we built it together last week in the stream, is this generic theme prompt writer. So we'll get more into that, building out these prompts, and I'll have these available for copy and paste. I'll put some links probably in the stream on the recording of this video, and I have all this stuff in my school community. If I don't already have it up, I'll be getting all of my interesting AI assistant prompts posted up there very soon, just so you can copy and paste these prompts and use them in ChatGPT or whatever manually. If you don't want to build the automation, you'll be able to use my prompts anyway. So we have our generic theme prompt. This will intake a generic theme and create a series of image prompts based on that theme. And so we need to find a way to tell that, well, how many scenes do we want? How many image prompts do we want? And then how that number, how many we're creating, that number will auto-populate into the generation tab and start automatically generating those images based on those automatically generated prompts. Okay. I mentioned earlier too, for those of you coming into the stream, I talk to myself like this when I'm working anyway, even if I'm not streaming. Sometimes wrapping your mind around these complex connections are it's a brain fry. So I create little to-do lists, right? Our next to-do list is to come up with a way to dictate a number of scenes, whether that's in here or whether that's hard-coded in automatically to one of our prompts. Maybe the generic theme prompt can have it built in to say, create 8 scenes or create 5 scenes or something like that. Create 5 prompts, right? So do we want flexibility and have a drop down to choose our number of scenes, the number of scenes that will need videos to be generated for, increasing cost of your video? Or do we want, something more hard-coded in, just say make 5 scenes or something like that, right? So I'm brainstorming that. We also need to input some automatic settings. So we have our automatic settings here I built in when I built the previous automation, and that one allows full automatic generation. Once you click go, it's just going to generate everything. In this case, that will generate all of the prompts, all of the, the number of scenes, and then automatically generate the images based on those prompts, and then automatically generate the videos based on those images and prompts if we want to add text to video capability using Kling or something like that. So that can all be set to fully automatic, or we have some in-betweens. Or we can set it to manual, where you just pick your settings here, hit start. Everything will get generated manually. So it'll say, you know, first scene, here's the image prompt. Do we like that? Yes or no? You can change the image prompt, then manually generate the image, then manually generate the video. So that's our to-do list. That's what I'm speaking aloud. Yeah, no, let's figure it out. So let's go for it. Right away, I can get rid of some of these options here. This is from the previous automation. We don't need any audio settings, just image and video and the default action. I think for now, let's do a hard code in the prompt writer prompt just to see if this will come out. I think the best way to do this, create a number of scenes. Okay, so we might need another system instruction for that. I think the only way to go about that. So this was the workflow I had in the previous automation where our JSON bot was creating a JSON object with our number of scenes. So we might need something similar, another system bot saying, take the inputs and create this many prompts, basically. Let's try that. Let's save this JSON bot prompt and let's create a new prompt. So we'll just rip this one up. I started doing that a little bit already. Generate a single AI image generation prompt based on the input text and preset text provided in quotes above. All right. Start the prompt with the preset text provided in quotes above, exactly as written. So it looks like we did that on the last stream a little bit. And return a JSON object with AI image prompts. Let's try this. Let's get rid of this. And let's just try this. Apparently we did this in the last stream good enough. So we need to make sure this is in our video project table. We need to make sure our JSON bot is in our video project table. So I'll come into my all data and this should be automatically connecting. We got some broken fields. We don't need audio and video. Delete that. Looks like we have a broken field here. So we need to reconnect the generation table, it looks like, unless we have it connected somewhere else. So I'll delete this field. All right, let's check for our JSON bot. We do not have JSON bot in here. No. JSON bot is not in here. So we're gonna create a new field. Let's add JSON bot after the system instructions here. I'm just gonna probably get rid of, I'll leave that in. So right after all of the system instructions, I'll add a new link to another record in the system automation table. Do not allow linking to multiple records, and we want our JSON bot. So we want the system instructions and probably the label just to keep everything organized. Cool. So we're working in prompt generation. This new field is our JSON bot. JSON bot. Therefore, this is our JSON bot instructions. Now, prompt generation test, if we find JSON bot, should come up with our prompt. Looks good. And our label. Cool. So now we've got that in there, but if we create a new record, it's not going to pop in here automatically. So we need to create that automation. Let's just test this out. I can guarantee it's not in here, but never know. Looks like our system one isn't working, unless my computer's going real slow. These fields should be populating automatically. This one for system and all the system instructions, these should be populating automatically via our Airtable, this Airtable automation, new project entry. It's on, and we've got, okay, so broken fields. That makes sense. So we're getting the JSON bot like we attempted it at some point. Let's see. System can double check that record ID. I'll come into my system automation. I want my system assistant here. Grab that record ID. Paste it there. Good. And JSON bot, we want to find JSON bot record ID. It's probably residual from the last build. Paste that. All right, that's the same. That looks good. We can update our record. We want to update our new field. Our new field is JSON bot. There it is. And we'll add our record ID from find JSON bot action, field values, record ID. Now we're reconnected. Let's jump back into the video project table, create a new record, and we're going to get our system instructions and our JSON bot pop in here automatically. Let's check JSON bot. There it is. Cool. So for now, I manually added this one, but every new record, every new project, we're going to get those bots in here to do some work. So I think we should just give this a test run because I don't know what's going to happen. It's always exciting. So the test is going to be a full test, and it should create a number of prompts. But I don't think it will. I don't think we have that built in here in any capacity. So let's hard code it just somewhere for now. Let's get rid of this quotes above. Sometimes providing examples to ChatGPT kind of hurts the output. I like to have it come up with its own output and see if it's working the way that I want it, rather than giving it an example output, because it might follow my instructions better than I think I'm following my instructions, if that makes sense. So return a JSON object with the structure AI image prompts, a single AI image generation prompt adhering to the above guidelines. Yes. Then we want to create, let's just say 5 image prompts this way. I don't know, some kind of hard coding in here. We'll tailor it up. Let's just see what happens with that. So those of you coming into the stream, I'm just going about my work day, building automations. I build stuff in Make, Airtable, and converting everything over into N8N and building some really cool stuff in N8N. So I'll be putting out some new videos on my YouTube for N8N. This is running. Let's trigger it. But just going about my work day, watching, hopefully you guys are watching me fumble around and stumble around. I mastered this stuff pretty quickly when I discovered AI automation. I dove in, mastered it very quickly, and started learning all this stuff. So ultimately, one of my goals here is to show people that this stuff is hard, and if you're running into errors and you need troubleshooting, you're not doing it wrong. It's a lot of stuff going on. For example, I just got this error that I thought we had worked through already. So this error, we're missing something in the create a record. So we're missing the record ID from our video project table. It should be that right there. And we need to create records based on AI image prompt is what we're trying to get here. So we need based on our output from ChatGPT. So, I mean, it looks like it's outputting what we want, relatively close to what we want. We just didn't insert it in there. So we'll try that again. Save it. Save your scenarios and Make, just in case. Man, I've had some bad losses. All right, let's trigger this again and get that to come through. So we're trying to test that a bunch of new records are getting generated in the generation table, and so testing that out, I'm trying to get past this error essentially. Trying to brainstorm how to do that. Then once that happens, it should create a bunch of images. We should be able to create a bunch of images inside of all those new records, but getting those records to be created the way that we want. Let's see what this is saying. Oh, okay. Cool. So this Airtable module is not updating. Just going to delete it, create a new Airtable module, create a record. We should have our relevant connection here. I didn't even pay attention. I might not have even connected the correct Airtable connection. Probably not. So we need our wrong table. Trying to create records in the generation table. We need our AI image prompt to be the result of ChatGPT. We can set our generation actions to come in as choose action in case we want to manually generate. And that should be it. That should work. This Airtable module should be updated now. Let's test it again. Whoops. Cool, and we've created one record. 1/5 of what we wanted, but let's see that record we created. Perfect. We've got our image preset setting. We've got our prompt input setting, giant figures from history, and we've got our AI generated image prompt. In a dramatic lifelike scene, the scene features towering statues or ethereal figures of renowned historical giants such as Genghis Khan, Cleopatra, metaphorical giants. Nice, not actual giants. Cool, that is working. That is what we want. We just need it to come up with a series of prompts in that way and create all of those records here. So we need to tailor our system prompt, and I think this is what happened without adding that system prompt in. This is what happened. That's what we wanted. So now we could add in our JSON bot prompt to the connection because we put it in our Airtable base, but we didn't actually connect it to it. So I think we should be good to go. So we want to read that JSON bot instructions. We already have our prompt writer assistant here, so let's just add it to the system instructions. That way we keep our assistant instructions just the prompt writers. So we want the JSON bot instructions. There it is. Drop that down, get the actual instructions and our system instructions and our prohibited language list. Test it. Let's see if we get those 5 generated records. Now I'll just delete this one. And trigger it. I have a feeling it's going to work. I'm feeling confident. I'm getting my second wind. We've passed the 1.5 hour mark on the stream. I'm coming back. All right, that came through make. Let's see what we get in our generation table. Oh, so close. We got the JSON instead of the prompt, we got the JSON. So we forgot one little thing here. That is, by the way, I'm in the habit of saying we. I can just say I'm doing this, but I say we because most of my videos are tutorial videos. People follow along, so I have the habit of saying we are doing this together, but hopefully it translates. We are still doing this together. So what we needed in here is I took this out at the beginning of this stream because I changed my mind coming into this stream, but now I obviously changed my mind back. So we're gonna set this back to JSON object, and when the ChatGPT module is creating a JSON object, we need to put somewhere in here in the text create JSON object. So I'm going to put that in the assistant instructions here. Create JSON object, and I'll add in a user prompt. Read the inputs in quotes above and create and craft an image prompt based on the instructions below. Then I'll just say you are an expert at this is just covering my bases. This is a sort of double what's the term? It's redundancy, right? You're an expert at reading instructions and creating JSON objects. And that's something that should go in the assistant instructions or the system instructions, but I want to organize this as assistant instructions being my actual assistants that I'm creating, and the system instructions being those that I have in Airtable, and then everything else input into these modules is from the user, and this is a specific use case. Create this specific way. That's how I organize my prompts and create my assistants in OpenAI and stuff like that. As a side note, I don't actually, but I don't actually build assistants in OpenAI. I tend to create all of my OpenAI assistants inside of Airtable in this method, creating assistants here and having them link up and connect with one another rather than building them out in OpenAI. It produces the same results, in my opinion. You know, the OpenAI assistants should learn and grow, but it produces the same results programmatically as the message and assistant module in Make. So I tend to just build everything out in Airtable. That way I have all of my assistants right here instead of, I could add a number of assistants, create their assistant prompts, and then link them up instead of going back and forth. So that's how I build AI assistants. So we got that linked up. We're creating a JSON object. Again, I think that's all the settings we need down here, so that should be fine. Let's give it a test. Oh, we didn't link it in Airtable module. We didn't put in... Oh, yes, we did, because we're creating the JSON object here, but then we need to parse the JSON, so that is what we're lacking. So we should get relatively same result. Yep. It's coming out the way we want. That's what we want. We're getting all of our prompts here. It's calling the first one details, however. That should be fine. We can rename that in the prompt, in the JSON prompt, but we're getting our 5 prompts, unique prompts, which is great. We just need to parse out that string and get the sections in here accordingly. Cool. Making it through. I'm gonna get this done in 3 minutes. That'll be a great end. Have this function and then end the stream. That'd be great. Okay. So I deleted all this out at the beginning of this video and changed my mind, obviously. So we need to parse JSON. Let's come into the OpenAI module, make sure we're not parsing JSON right here somewhere. Parse JSON is no, because we're going to do that in this module. We'll get the data. Then we can aggregate the data. Let's add aggregator. We'll have to run this through to get it. The source will be create image prompts. And I wonder if we can just connect it to Airtable and say image prompts. We'll have to run it through first either way. So let's run that. Run it, trigger it. We got to push that parse data through. Or I should say we actually need to parse the data before we see it in the aggregator. Ooh, this is exciting. Good timing to get something actually running. All right, so we should have that in here now. We can grab the description. Yeah, oh yeah, we want to get rid of the target structure type. And say AI image prompts. We could probably just take the prompt from the JSON module without aggregating, but since we only have one element in the array, we only have one key, we probably don't need to aggregate. And right now it's being called description. So I just want to test that theory. Let's clone this, get it out of here. And for the image prompt, yeah, we'll have to run it again. Let's go ahead. At the end of 2 hours, my brain's not working. We'll see if this works. We only have one item in this array, so we don't need to aggregate. We should be able to just pull that description is what it's getting called, but what it's getting named. But I want to name it AI image prompt or something like that. So we got AI image prompts and prompt. That's what it should be named. There it is. So that should work just like that without the aggregator. Cool. All right. However, all right, that's mapped in there now. Let's give it one more test, finish it off. A big celebration. It's going to run through, should create our it should create our 5 new records in the generation table. Ooh, but I think, yeah, I think we need the aggregator after all. Yep, brain's not working because we need to aggregate each of those. Okay, almost there. Almost there. It's actually delete that out. Delete my testers here. Run it. We'll have to run it one more time after this to get it to come through. Right now I'm pushing everything through the aggregator to get it into the Airtable module. Burning through my OpenAI credits. That's all right. That's why I buy them. So now we can come into the array. See, I still don't think that's creating what we want it to create. But what we're going to do is add the array. No, because we need the array here. Oh, my brain's losing it. We're almost there and I can't get it. It's so simple and I'm not getting it. Let's see what this output right here. It's created our 5 image prompts. Okay, that is exactly what we want. They're called prompt. That is exactly what we want. They're coming into the aggregator and we're aggregating the AI image prompts. And inside of that, we have our array, our AI image prompts. We've got our 5 image prompts. So we need some kind of iteration through them, right? Oh man, I should have deleted that. Let me just go see what we need. Brain is not working. I'll just come into my other automation, see what I had before I deleted it at the beginning of the stream, put it back in there and make it way easier. Okay. Yeah, just as I thought. Just as I thought. All of you probably thought the same. We don't need the aggregator. We need the iterator to iterate through our prompts. We add the array from the JSON module. Gonna have to run this through to get all of those in here, but that should be it. Gosh, I knew I was doing something stupid. I will make the celebration sweeter and the stream just a little longer. Gosh. There we go. There's our iterations. 5 records created in the generation table. We have all of our prompts. Not yet. Got ahead of myself. Let's add those in. From the iterator. Now these should be popping in here, but looks like something happened with that. We should have our, unless this is just grabbing the description this time instead of prompts. For whatever reason. Okay, one more run. Let's delete out all of these. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. So close to success. It's the sweet little victories. And it's kind of one of the biggest parts. It's one of the biggest parts is to get that separating and how we can create our scenes. If we can get the scenes to generate the way that we want, that's most of the work. Everything else is just processing that work, right? So yeah, we're not getting a consistent name on this, but this prompt should be correct. Let's double check our system automation, JSON bot. And for our JSON naming, okay, so this is where we're getting that inconsistent naming in the prompt right here. I'm not really specifying the naming the way I want this named. So I have the previous version in the version control right here. Let's just take a look. Actually, this was the version that I deleted. So let's check my other version control on this prompt. And that is there. This is the previous version. Paste that into my version control space field here. And we're looking for the way that I told this JSON bot to name something. So each object in the array should have 2 keys. Okay, so this is what we're doing here. But I don't think I've set that up. Return a JSON object with this structure, AI image prompts. Yeah, that's not necessarily what's happening. So I said each object in the array should have 2 keys. A voiceover contains the original sentence. AI prompts contains the image prompt for the. Because I want to, so I've ended up putting the JSON object back in here because I want to potentially add other stuff. So I want to have the flexibility of creating these arrays with these keys, right? And so I might just say create an array with 1 key. Let's just do that. I want the flexibility of adding more stuff. So let's add this line to the prompt. Here's a number of scenes prompt from the previous version. Let's add that line into this prompt. So the output format, let's say we need to say create an array. Okay, create an array. Each object in the array should have one key. Like, I'll be able to expand this later. AI image prompts contains the image prompt for generating a visual scene based on the input. We'll just say input following guidelines. And then we'll get rid of this line. Prompt engineering. I'm trying to spark up a course on it. It's a lot to get into, and there's so many resources about prompt engineering. Just how do you generate prompts? The easy answer, the way that I create these prompts, I just ask ChatGPT to make one for me, and then that's it. You know, have a conversation. Some of my prompts that I've created, I think these types of prompts, to get them to actually work the way that I wanted from scratch, was probably a couple of weeks of, you know, here and there having a conversation with ChatGPT. Here's my prompt. I wanted to do this. This is what you gave me. It's not doing that, kind of thing. So there's our new prompt. There's a new line. We're creating an array of this single key just to have flexibility later on. Let's see what happens. So I'm going to get rid of this. We're going to have to run it a couple times again. Save it, run it. So we know that we're outputting text that we want, just trying to format it to get it to cycle through, create, you know, iterate through and create all those new records in Airtable is the issue. So now we should be able to add in, yeah, it's still not naming things the way we want. It's my wording. It's my wording in the prompt. So let's go back, change some wording. Based on the input text and preset text provided in quotes above. Just delete this line. And I'll get rid of this wording. Contains the image prompt following the guidelines above. Create 5 image prompts. Let's move this. create, we'll say create an array of 5 image prompts in this way, something like that. Now here's where my prompt engineering comes in. I've made some changes, had some issues. I'm just going to take this over to ChatGPT, paste it in, say, this is my prompt. Can you, I don't know, make it better? Cool. Prompt engineering 101, that's all you got to do. Ask ChatGPT how to do it. So now this is a new version. I want to keep this version. Let's just add another, whoops, let's add another field. Say, I don't know. I don't know why I named it version 2. It is version 1. So this is my new prompt from ChatGPT. This is my old one. Pop that into version 1. Got my old version in version control and my new version now in the correct field. Let's give that a test. So close. Now I'm invested. I got to make this work. Could switch around could switch this around to change up the position of the JSON prompt into the assistant area. Let's just see what we got. There we go. AI image prompt. Finally, that's what we needed. That should be a consistent output. Final test. This is it. Unless it goes wrong, then I'll test it again. Here we go. And it is a no. But I think we got it working. There's just something off. Nope, inconsistent naming. That's what it is. I wonder. It's probably another super easy thing that I'm just missing after 2.5 hours. This is where I hit my limit, I think, at 2.5 hours. Well, at 1.5 hours, it's when I hit my limit. But I'm probably going to watch this back. You guys are probably watching like, oh man. Help me out. Shoot me a message. Something easy. There we go. It just needed that connection. Okay, so we've got a unique prompt with our preset visual style, DSLR camera quality. We've got our preset prompt, our prompt input, DSLR camera quality photograph of giant figures in history, and then our unique AI generated prompt. And we got some unique wording. Imagine a DSLR camera quality photograph capturing giant figures in history. All of these are slightly unique on the presets, but they have all of them. And it's giving us metaphorical giants. I wanted like actual giants, like monsters, you know? Focusing on giant figures in history. So our prompt is taking in our inputs. We have our generic theme. I should say our generic theme writer is taking in our inputs, our image style, our photograph image style, our simple image prompt, giant figures in history, and our generic theme writer is coming up with generic AI image prompts exactly the way that we want. Our JSON bot is constructing those prompts the way that we want, and now we have them separating out the way that we want. Now we can generate those images. Let's see, this one's going to do Julius Caesar, so-and-so. This one's going to do... So it's going to take some crafting on the style, right? Writing a prompt or coming up with a prompt writer that's going to not just be this generic stuff, but, you know, crafting a prompt that's going to come up with the image prompts that create better images. But everything is working. We can just work on the prompt engineering for this section later. So this should be running through FAL. Oh, it's not running through FAL because my automation is not turned on. I'll leave it off for now. Just hit run once. Wait for new data since I ran that data through. And we'll generate this one and this one. Oh, it's not turned on. That one's not going to generate. So we should get something kind of weird from FAL. And that'll be the end of today. There it is. Pretty cool. Should come into Airtable anytime. There it is. Nice. Nice. Now, obviously, the next step, we can set up some automatic settings so that this all happens automatically. All the images get generated, or, you know, leaving it on manual settings where we come in here and generate the images manually. At that point, at any time, you can come in here and tweak the prompt before you generate anything. Then the next step would be to run the video automations. So the next chain in the automations, finally getting to Kling, Minimax, and these chains here, maybe a Luma chain. I'll figure out some other cool chains we can build and see what Flux has to offer for their, I mean, I've browsed already, I just haven't been able to set them up yet, so I'll give it a shot. In the next stream, guys, thank you for watching, following along. If you were following along, pretty impressive. I'm building these automations. I'm going about my day, just figuring this stuff out and recording it so you guys can watch. My YouTube channel is all about helping you learn automations, building cool stuff. figuring these things out and teaching you how to do it. A lot of good questions, a couple good questions in the chat. I am building N8N automations. If you're watching this and saying, why isn't he using N8N? That seems to be the buzzword right now. N8N is blowing up. People are jumping into N8N. I am building everything in N8N as well. This particular stream, I am building this one in Make. Most of my videos coming out, I'd say all of my videos coming out are going to be in N8N. All of my automations that I've built in Make, I'm rebuilding in N8N just for myself to learn, to progress, to try new things, to experiment. Every one of us creators that are teaching N8N on YouTube are jumping into some really cool stuff. All of us are, specializing in really cool things. Thanks, Collins. Glad you made it through the whole thing. And so I am diving into that stuff as well. You can follow along with me as we jump into more N8N stuff. And if you want to join up in the school group, I've got a school community teaching all this stuff. I have all of these automation templates up there for free. I have my Airtable bases up there for free. You can join the school community, grab all that stuff from me there. Lingering Health. Thank you. Nice to have you guys. Glad you made it all the way through. And so if you guys want to check out that school community, I'll have all the links set up. You can watch any of my YouTube videos and I'll have those links set up and I'll have those links in the description of this recording so you can check it out from there. Thank you again. I'll see you in the next one. And then I take the awkward time to find out how I end the stream. Cool.